What's up, guys? It's episode 3 of The Weekly Assist with Mateo and Nick. I am the Mateo Arenas.
I am Nick Kennealy.
And we are going to bring you around the sports world once again. We're going to start off with our non-sport headline. Well, not our non-sport headline, our non-football headline. There wasn't very much non-football news. There was a lot of non-football news since our last podcast. But the main thing is, about an hour, 30 minutes after our podcast concluded of last week, Christian Yelich fractured his kneecap, and he is out for the season. He was supposed to be if not the NL MVP winner, he was going to be the runner-up.
Oh, he definitely was going to be NL MVP.
Yeah, because him and Cody Bellinger were competing, and now it looks like it's definitely going to be Cody Bellinger. His team is still very much in the wild card. They are one position out, and so basically in the MLB, all that's been happening recently is just the wild card race, not too much like big news. So that Christian Yelich one was pretty big, though.
Yeah, I'd say there's not going to be a lot of news till the postseason, but we'll see.
Well, the wild card races are going to come down to it because there are like 3 teams in each division that are still competing. In the AL, it is Indians, A's, and Rays. And in the NL, it is down to Washington, Chicago, and Milwaukee. It's going to be interesting. Milwaukee's only 1 game out. They've been doing good since Yelich has been hurt. They're still 9-1 in their last 10 games, so they're red hot at the moment. But let's see if they can squeeze into the final 2 wildcard teams. Next for football is quarterbacks, and more quarterbacks. There's been a bunch of quarterback news since our last episode. The Giants, the Steelers, the Saints, and the Jets have all had to make big decisions recently, whether they sat somebody or somebody got hurt. Starting off with the Giants, this morning it was announced that Daniel Jones is replacing Eli Manning as the starting quarterback for the New York Football Giants. I feel like this move should have been made during week 1. The Giants have been 0-2 to start the season, so they haven't been doing well. And Daniel Jones is the future. Eli Manning is the past. I have never liked Eli Manning, so I think this is a great move for the Giants.
What do you think is going to happen when they go against the Patriots, though?
Well, that's not going to be a good game for the Giants. The Patriots are red hot. Their offense is red hot. Are they playing each other this week?
No, not this week.
Yeah, not this week. Wait, do they play each other this season?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right, next up with the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger is out for the season. His shoulder, he had to have surgery on it. Very sad news for some Steelers fans. Started off 0-2. Now they have Mason Rudolph in at quarterback. There's a lot of high hopes for Mason Rudolph. Card prices skyrocket after the news, and a lot of people are backing the quarterback. Next up is Saints. Drew Brees is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks because of his wrist. Said he couldn't grip a football. He got hurt during the Rams-Saints game last week when they lost. So that is pretty sad news for Saints fans. But I feel that they have the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL. They have Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill, and I feel like they can stay in that playoff race. Lastly, for quarterbacks, it is the Jets. Sam Darnold was out last week because he has mono. He's expected to miss the rest of the month at least. They had Trevor Siemian in at quarterback, and he had suffered a nasty hit versus the Browns, and he is out for the season. Now they have Luke Falk expected to start next week if they don't make any quarterback moves. You'd have to think that they're going to do something, sign somebody, because Luke Falk does not seem to be the answer. They don't even have a backup quarterback. But the funny thing about Luke Falk being in is now there are 2 starting Washington State quarterbacks in the NFL with him and Gardner Minshew. By the way, I made the error last week. I said Michigan State for Gardner Minshew, but I meant Washington.
Yeah, the Jets are definitely scrambling for something. It'll be interesting to see if they make any trades or anything, because they got it. The quarterback's probably one of the most important roles in probably American sports.
Yeah, or if they sign Kaepernick. Never know.
Never know.
All right, and also Mika Fitzpatrick. He has been traded from the Dolphins. The Dolphins suffered another humiliating loss last week to the New England Patriots, the best team in the NFL. So there was a report last week that many teams were questioning. Many players on the Dolphins were asking for a trade, and after that 43-0 Patriots loss, Dolphins lost to the Patriots, Mika Fitzpatrick decided, I want out. He is traded to the Steelers of Pittsburgh for a first rounder, and the cornerback position, Jalen Ramsey from the Jaguars is also asked for a trade after a little altercation with his coach. So you'd have to think that this Micah Fitzpatrick trade drives up Ramsey's value. Because at first they were saying Ramsey, the Jags were asking a first rounder for him, but since Fitzpatrick, they had to give up a first rounder for him. Ramsey is the best cornerback in the NFL. It was reported that now the Jags are looking for either a first rounder and a good player or multiple first rounders. So that should be very interesting in the coming week.
Odds on Belichick somehow gets Ramsey? Odds on.
I don't think it's very likely. Yeah, I'd be crazy, but I don't think it's very likely at all.
Well, I didn't think it was likely that Antonio Brown would have joined them, but
I did.
You did?
Yeah, because that would be the only situation that actually worked for him. He's the no-nonsense Bill Belichick and the do-your-job mindset New England Patriots. So we're doing kind of a fast episode today, so we're already on to our picks. No other segments, so let's start off with you, Nick. What is your pick for the Thursday night football game, Jaguars versus Titans?
I'm going to have to go with the Titans here. It's an inter-division matchup of AFC South teams, but the Jaguars just haven't been able to get anything going so far this season. I think the Titans can do it.
I thought the Jaguars, they played very well last week. Gardner Minshew led a great drive late versus the Texans, and they only lost by 1. They went for 2 to win the game at the remaining seconds, and Leonard Fournette, he just is playing horrible. He did not get it, and Minshew Magic did not work out because of Doug Marone's coaching, and they lost by 1. But the Titans ended up losing to the Colts last week, but I feel like they're going to bounce back and beat the Jaguars here. Next up is Dolphins at Cowboys. You have to say Cowboys. The Dolphins scored 10 points all season. They look pathetic. They're gutting their roster. They've traded their best defensive player, and the Cowboys are on the up and up. So I'm thinking them here.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Cowboys too.
Yeah.
So next up on Sunday is Bills versus Bengals. Who do you got, Mateo?
I have Bills. Josh Allen, I have so much faith in him. They are 2-0. They got Devin Singletary involved last week, and I said he's on the come up. At 57 yards and a touchdown. Frank Gore had 68 yards and a touchdown. Josh Allen is playing great. 253 yards and a touchdown. I feel like he is the quarterback besides like Baker and Jackson. The quarterback, he's better than Darnold. He is the quarterback from the 2018 draft to watch.
Yeah, I'm thinking Bills. I thought the Bengals were going to get it done last week. I thought Andy Dalton was going to have a great week. He did not. The Bills are just going to be able to beat them. Bengals are 0-2.
Yeah, the Bengals, the 49ers, destroyed them, plummeted them. The 49ers are looking 24? Red hot. Not 24.
24.
It was like 41-17.
Yeah, they beat him by 24.
That's 24.
Yeah.
All right. My math skills are a little off. All right. Next up is Lions at Eagles. The Eagles lost on Sunday Night Football. If Zach Ertz stretched out a little farther, he would have got the first down on 4th, and they didn't pull it off. But I feel like the Eagles are going to bounce back here. Wentz is going to have a great game, and they are going to destroy the Lions. The Lions did surprise many last week, and they beat the Chargers, but that was mainly due to the poor offensive game from Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. Eckler only had 66 rushing yards, and Phillip Rivers threw for an interception and no touchdowns. But I think the Eagles are going to win this game.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Eagles too for this one.
Next is Jets at Patriots, and Patriots are going to win this one. No question. The Patriots are red hot. Jets, right now, they're going to start Luke Falk as of now if they don't make any moves, so definitely Patriots.
Yeah, definitely Patriots. It's another inter-division matchup of AFC East teams, but yeah, it's got to be Patriots. Jets are 0-2. Missing Sam Darnold. What are they going to do?
Next up is Falcons at Colts. Falcons beat the Eagles. Colts beat the Titans. I'm going to say Colts. Jacoby Brissett's looking great. 146 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I feel like he's going to pull off another dub.
I'm going to go with the Colts here. They're 1-1. I thought Jacoby Brissett at the beginning of the season was not going to be good. I thought he was inexperienced. The Colts were not going to be good without Andrew Luck. And what do I know? I think they're going to beat the Eagles.
Yeah, so next up is Raiders at Vikings. Raiders lost to the Chiefs last week. They looked good in the first half, but suffered in the second. Vikings lost to the Packers this week, but I'm going to say Raiders win this game. Josh Jacobs had 99 yards last week, and he played pretty well. in the first half, and I think the Raiders are going to close out this one and become 2-1.
I'm thinking about the Vikings for this one. I think the Raiders just in the second half they weren't able to get it done, and if they keep going like that, there's no way they're going to be able to beat the Vikings.
Next up is Ravens at Chiefs. I feel like this is going to be the best game of the week, and it's at 10 o'clock, so we're getting spoiled this week. Ravens have been amazing. Lamar Jackson has proven, and I have all the hope in him. I feel he's going to be a great quarterback, but Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback in the NFL right now. And the Chiefs, the only reason why I'm picking Chiefs is because they have the home field advantage in this one.
I'm also picking Chiefs. One of these teams are going to have to walk away with a loss, and it's going to be the Ravens. The Chiefs are red hot coming off a 28-10 win against the Raiders. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to come away with this one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Next up is Broncos at Packers. Broncos looked like they were going to beat the Bears for a little bit, but then Mitchell Trubisky pulled off the biscuit magic, and Packers beat the Vikings last week. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to continue, and the Broncos just don't have much to play for. Joe Flacco sucks, and Aaron Rodgers is going to have a great game.
Yeah, Packers are 2-0 so far this season. I think they're going to be able to...
Oh, yes, they are. My bad.
I think the Packers are going to walk away with another win. They're third of the season. Aaron Rodgers is just red hot. The team's red hot. They're going to be able to get this one done.
Next up, the first 1 o'clock game is Panthers at Cardinals. Cam Newton lost to the Buccaneers last week. He is not looking good. A lot of people are wondering what's wrong with him. Apparently, he has a knee injury. And the Cardinals looked good last week. They got close to the Ravens. They couldn't pull it off because some poor red zone decisions. They kept kicking field goals. Should have went for the touchdown. But Kyler Murray had a great game. 349 yards. He just needs to throw some touchdowns. And, just hit a home run in Boston. That's crazy. He got to go where his grandfather excelled, and he just hit his 20th home run of the season. Just want to say that. We're watching the Giants-Red Sox game right now. So, as I was saying, I think the Cardinals are going to win this game, and Cam Newton is going to continue to flounder.
Yeah, the beginning of the season has actually been pretty surprising for Cam Newton. I thought he was going to do a lot better. Hasn't been able to get it done. I think Kyler Murray is going to clutch it up with the Cardinals. They're going to get their first win of the season.
Next up is Giants at Buccaneers. Buccaneers had a great game against the Panthers last week, beating them by 6. Jameis Winston looked pretty good, 200 yards and a touchdown, but I think that Daniel Jones is going to have some Daniel Jones magic, and he is going to win his first start of his career.
I'm thinking Buccaneers for this one. Daniel Jones, first start, I think he's going to do well. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's going to be too inexperienced. First start. Buccaneers are 1-1. They've been doing pretty well this season. Lost to the 49ers week 1, but I think they're going to pull this one off.
Next up is Saints at Seahawks. This would be an unbelievable game with Drew Brees. Now Drew Brees is hurt, and I still think it's going to be a great game. They're going to have Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill rotating. Teddy Bridgewater was an unbelievable quarterback with the Vikings before his injury, and I feel like the Saints are going to surprise the Seahawks in this game.
Originally, I had the Saints. Originally, I had the Saints. However, with the Drew Brees injury, I think it's going to be the Seahawks this one. I know they got a pretty good quarterback duo over down in New Orleans. However, Teddy Bridgewater just hasn't been able to pull it off recently. I think the Seahawks have this one in the bag.
Next up is Texans at Chargers. Texans barely beat the Jags last week. Chargers lost to the Lions, but I feel like Deshaun Watson is going to bounce back and have a great game in Los Angeles.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. I'm thinking Chargers all the way. Phillip Rivers is going to get it done. They have a pretty good offense this year. I believe that the Chargers are going to win, rather.
Yeah, they just need to get more wide receivers involved. Keenan Allen had 0 touchdowns. I don't think they had a single wide receiver touchdown last week, and I feel like they're going to have to incorporate more wide receivers if they want to win this game. Next up is Steelers at 49ers, the first 49ers home game of the season. I think my boy Andrew Sharp's going to be there, and the Steelers are going to have Mason Rudolph making his first career NFL start. He got a little bit of action last week against the Seahawks. He threw for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns and interception. He played pretty well, but Jimmy G is red hot. The 49ers are red hot, and they're going to continue to beat. By the way, Jimmy Garoppolo won the FedEx Best Quarterback of the Week last week.
I'm going to have to say 49ers on this one. I would have thought the Steelers could have had a good chance of winning had they have Ben Roethlisberger healthy, but a fresh quarterback, I don't think he's going to be able to get it done against the 49ers.
Our next up is Sunday Night Football, Rams at Browns. Browns had a good game against the Jets last week, but it was the Jets on Monday Night Football versus Luke Falk for most of the game. So I think the Rams are going to continue and have a good game. I feel like Gurley's going to have more than 63 rushing yards, and Goff is going to throw for more than 1 touchdown, and they're going to beat the Browns.
Odell had a pretty good week last week at the Browns. In his return to the Meadowlands, he had a nice one-handed catch. However, I'm going to have to go with the Rams on this one.
Yeah, I agree on that one. Next up is Bears at Redskins. The Bears barely beat the Broncos. How many B's did I just say?
Barely.
Barely. And the Redskins lost by 10 to the Cowboys. They still look pretty good. Terry McLaurin had another touchdown. Case Keenum threw for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. He had another good game. But I feel like the Bears, each week they're incorporating David Montgomery a little more. He had a touchdown and around 60 yards last week compared to his 20 yards the week before. And I feel like he's just going to keep improving, and Trubisky's going to show off what he did in his last drive, and they're going to win on Monday Night Football.
I'm going with the Redskins on this one. I voted for them last week. I thought they were going to be able to get it done. Unfortunately, Case Keenum did not clutch it up for me, but this week is the week for Case Keenum. They're going to get their first win on the season.
Yeah, I don't think, if I'm not wrong, I don't think Case Keenum has thrown an interception all season, so he's having a really good season so far. But next, we're going to go to our last week's picks. I went 10-6. Nick went 8-8, so I am the winner. I've won 2 weeks out of the 2. We had a couple different picks, and I had more wins than he did. The main ones were I picked the Ravens. He picked the Cardinals. That was a close game, but the Ravens ended up pulling it off. He did pick the Lions, and I picked the Chargers. He took that dub. And the one that I was most happy about was I picked the 49ers, and he picked the Bengals. I was pretty surprised. He is a 49ers fan as well. The 49ers pulverized the Bengals, and they pulled it off. And they're going to pull it off again. So let's see. We'll check in next week with our picks. We also had a new addition to Fourth and Short Sports. We have a new member. He might be on the podcast next week. We're not sure yet. So you will see. And he might be writing some articles for us as well on the website. Next up, we're going to go into Fantasy Talk. Nick is currently 2-0, and he is number 1 place in our league together.
Yes, I have. I am actually in both of my leagues. That last week, I did catch 2 dubs out of 2 games. In our league together, I am the top of the leaderboards, tied for first in wins, most points by a wide margin. By about 38 wide margin, doing big things.
Yeah, I had a really good fantasy week last week. I won in 4 out of my 6 leagues, so I was very happy. The one I was most happy about is in one of my money leagues. I did win, and I destroyed Drew in the league that me and Nick are in by 50 points, 153 to 103, so I was very happy about that one. In Nick and I's league, I am in 5th place, tied with a couple people, but I'm pretty happy with my game that I had last week.
Week 1, I had a great game, won by 45, led by Sammy Watkins. Last week, I actually didn't have that good of a game. I still won by 4, still am leading the league in points per person, but, I'm pretty excited for this year. I think I have a solid team. Picked a kicker in 6th round, didn't matter, still dominant.
The best thing that I did is in most of my leagues, I think about 90% of my leagues, I did choose Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson has been red hot, scoring at least 32 points in both of his games, and I hope he continues that because he's being the clutch factor in all my teams. Well, that is episode 3 for you in the weekly assist. This was a little bit of a shorter episode, but we might come back with a longer one with some segments next week. We might even have another member of the podcast next week. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you after week 3 of the NFL season.